जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टाप्रयेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. हरि ओम. Reading from Canto 3, Status Quo, Chapter 16, title Jaya and Vijaya cursed by the two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jaya and Vijaya cursed by the sages, verse number 19. Let me see if I can say it. Taranti hi anjasa mrutyum nivruttayat anugrahat yogina sa bhavan kim sved anugruhyeta yat paraihi. Taranti hi anjasa mrutyum nivruttayat anugrahat yogina sa bhavan kim sved anugruhyeta yat paraihi. Taranti anjasa mrutyum nivruttayat anugrahat yogina sa bhavan kim sved anugruhyeta yat paraihi. Word to word. Taranti, crossover. He, because anjasa, easily, mrutyum, birth and death, nivrutta, seizing all material desires. Yat, your anugrahat, by mercy, yoginaha, transcendentalists, sa, that Supreme Lord, Bhavan, you, Kimsvit, never possible, anugrahyeta, may be favored, yet, which, paraihi, by others. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Mystics and transcendentalists, by the mercy of the Lord, cross beyond his science by seizing all material desires. It is not possible, therefore, that the Supreme Lord can be favored by others. Please repeat. Mystics and transcendentalists, by the mercy of the Lord, cross beyond his science by seizing all material desires. It is not possible, therefore, that the Supreme Lord can be favored by others. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Unless one is favored by the Supreme Lord, one cannot cross over the ocean of nescience of repeated death. Here, it is stated that yogis or mystics cross beyond nescience by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many kinds of mystics, such as the karma yogi, jnana yogi, dhyana yogi, and bhakti yogi. The karmis particularly search after the favor of the demigods. The jnanis want to become one with the Supreme Absolute Truth, and the yogis are satisfied simply by partial vision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, and ultimately by oneness with Him. But the bhaktas, the devotees, want to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead eternally and serve Him. It has already been admitted that the Lord is eternal, and those who want the favor of the Supreme Lord perpetually and are also eternal. Therefore, yogis here means devotees. By mercy of the Lord, devotees can easily pass beyond the nescience of birth and death and attain the eternal abode of the Lord. The Lord is therefore not in need of another's favor, because no one is equal to or greater than him. Actually, everyone needs the favor of the Lord for successful understanding of his human mission. Om Ajnanatimandasya Gnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkrupatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyaeva Vaidyanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadami Dadati Swapadantikam Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta ki jai. Thank you very much for joining. So this is 3:16:19. The two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jaya and Vijaya, pursued by sages. So the context is from chapter 15. We see that Maitreya Muni is speaking to Vidura about how Kashyapa and especially Diti at inauspicious time conceive, having union and producing children are going to be produced with which is going to cause a disturbance. So that is the starting point in chapter 15, verse number 1. Maitreya Muni is speaking to Vidura about that. And Diti could understand disturbance for 100 years. It will cause great trouble. So then further, then Lord Brahma, all the demigod approach Lord Brahma, then they are praying to remove this darkness from the universe, because Lord Brahma is capable of doing that. Then Lord Brahma relating what was the cause. Then he was talking about the four Kumaras traveling to Vaikuntha, the glorification of the four Kumaras. Now let's look at the context more detail, where it is mentioned about this four Kumaras, how they entered into Vaikuntha, how they cursed in brief. So the Yogamaya of the Lord, the Kumaras attained Vaikuntha, the transcendental place most worshipped by the world, glowing with various aircraft owned by excellent devotees. They attained Vaikuntha Loka under the control of the Lord and experienced the highest bliss. So they attend that place not by their own powers, but upon receiving the power of the Lord's inconceivable potency, inconceivable mercy, Achincha Shakti, Icha Shakti, by the desire of the Lord, by his Yogamaya, so that they could experience the highest bliss by the Lord's mercy. The words Param and Apuram indicate they experience greater bliss in Vaikuntha than in realizing impersonal Brahman. What is the nature of Vaikuntha? It is under the control of the Lord. This means that material Maya cannot exist there. The place glowed with colorful airplanes possessed by the best of the devotees. The phrase Guru of the also indicates that he brought them to Vaikuntha Loka to teach them bhakti. So this is the Kumaras, four Kumaras entrance into Vaikuntha. Viswanath Chakravarti talking about it from the previous chapter. And then when they entered Vaikuntha, passing through the 6 walls with gates, the sages without attachment, since they had realized Brahman from birth, saw the two doormen. They did not have any attraction by material intelligence to the gates, walls, or to the aspects of form, fragrance, or beauty they experienced there. At the 7th wall, they saw two gods, Jaya and Vijaya, holding the clubs. Their faces were slightly disturbed with anger, managravasam. The symptoms are their nostrils were breathing heavily. And then the four Kumaras had no clothing, obviously. But actually they had small bells as decorations. Though they were as old as Brahma, they appeared to be 5-year-old boys. Seeing those Brahmajnanis, the gatekeepers prevented them from entering by placing their sticks horizontally in front and saying, "Do not enter the palace of the Lord." The Kumaras did not deserve to be stopped. Ignoring their greatness, the gatekeepers thought that the boys were proud because of their Brahmajnana. The gatekeeper thus showed natures unfavorable to the Lord, who is affectionate to Brahmanas. Even the Lord's servant should not obstruct his friendliness to the Brahmanas, because they follow the qualities of the Lord's mind. Being virtuous, Kumara should not have been punished. Now Kumara's thought, after cursing them, cursing them, Jaya and Vijaya, when they obstructed, then Kumara's thought, and we look at the various reasons. We have offended the Lord because we have cursed two devotees of the Lord. Oh, what should we do? We have been conquered by anger. Our perpetual identity as peaceful saints have been destroyed in Vaikuntha. Repenting their action, they spoke to each other, the doorkeepers individually. Thus, let the punishment given by you to me, an offender, I think of the curse as a blessing. The Kumara then spoke to both, and they replied that punishment should destroy the offense committed in Vaikuntha to the Lord, and yourself caused by disrespect to you, by conducting ourselves against the desires of the Lord, and by showing anger, which should not be expressed in Vaikuntha. But we have shown remorse, caused by your mercy. By that speck of remorse, though we fall into the material world, let us not have the illusion of forgetting the Lord. Illusion in the form of obstacles to remembering how to serve the Lord would certainly occur. Thought the curse should not be undone. Therefore, let us be bewildered, but let the bewilderment produce remembrance of the Lord. They prayed that at least they would not forget the Lord. So, this was the context from the previous verse. So there are many reasons. The one reason why this incident happened is the desire of Jaya and Vijaya, who wants to fight. Who wants to fight? They were thinking, they were discussing with each other as a seventh doorkeeper in Vaikuntha Loka. As their desire, best of Lord, Lord of the Lords, Lord of Vaikuntha. If your fighting instinct is not satisfied because everyone else is so weak, and because we are not your enemies, then make us two gods unfriendly towards you, and you can have pleasure fighting us. Since we servants cannot tolerate even a small degree of decrease in your full happiness, we pray that this should be done by necessarily ignoring your quality of affection for your devotees. So this is how they thought. They were discussing each other, Jay and Vijay. So that's how, by seeing the desire and Lord desired, and Lord by his Icha Shakti, it has happened. As as Prabhupada is explained, nobody is greater than him. No one is equal to. He doesn't need anybody's favor. परस्य शक्तिर्विविधैः श्रूयते स्वभावकी ज्ञान बलाप्य मदस्य कार्यं करणञ्च विद्यते तत्समस् अभ्य अधिकश्च दृश्यते. Nobody is equal, nobody is greater. He doesn't have any duty to perform. Somebody wants to define God, means he shouldn't have any duty whatsoever to perform. His duty is simply enjoy. So that's what when people went to India, they saw all other gods, they are doing something. Only Lord Krishna is the only one who saw. They saw that he's the only God who is enjoying. So that Prabhupada mentions. So that's why Lord Krishna is performing this Leela pastimes. He's always busy in pastimes. So that's why we pray to Lord Narsingadev. That's why we pray to approach Shri Gaur Nitai. Not be asking for various desires to be fulfilled. Shri Radha Madhav and Shri Radha Samsundar, they are busy in their sweet pastimes. So that's why we should approach Shri Gaur Nitai, Shri Nityananda Balram, and Lord Narsingadev to remove our obstacles on the path of bhakti. So this is one of the reason why this four Kumaras cursed. The second reason is Lakshmi Devi herself desiring to see the Lord, how Lord fights. He was when he was massaging itself, he was making sounds. Then how Lord fight? She had desire. Different Puranas. That was another reason. Other reason, we are already seeing that Kashyapa and Diti union in auspicious time. Then the other reason later on in this same chapter is also mentioned. This was ordained by long ago by angry Lakshmi Devi when she attempted to enter the door and was prevented by these two doorkeepers when Lord was sleeping. Fulfilling the desire of his devotee, Lord developed another desire. Thus, he did not directly reveal the secret to the Kumaras. They then thought even the greatest devotee can fall from Vaikuntha because of greatest offense. What then to speak of where we, who are just dull reflections of sadhakas, can fall from the earthly planet, from this earth planet? Thus, it should be understood that the Lord desired to warn the sadhakas to be careful of committing great offenses. So in this way, these are the four, but there could be a few others. So because from different Puranas, different Shastras could be. And we can look at this this section or this chapter in I think different ways. One is to I think offenses to be avoided. First thing one must do as a devotee to protect our devotion creeper. Please refer to Nectar Devotion, chapter number 8. There are 32 offenses, very, very important chapter. At least we should know them, what these offenses are. That itself is a separate class discussed in one of the class recently. So 32 offenses, chapter number 8. Please refer to that. So that we understand how to avoid these offenses to the deities, to the Vaishnavas, to the holy place, holy name, all of them are covered. Prabhupada wrote elaborate, referring from different Purana, Padma Purana and others also. That is one way to look at. Otherwise, obstructing pure devotees and Vaishnavas. So especially here in the Jaya and Vijaya, one way to look at. Another way we looked at already, the desire of them, Lord, fulfilling the, pleasing the Lord as Veeraras, Lord wants to also fight. But again, another way to look at is obstructing pure devotee or Vaishnava. They obstructed 4 Kumaras from entering in. So that one way. So we should be very careful to obstruct pure devotees or Vaishnavas from engaging in devotion service. We looked at many examples before, as Madhavendra Puri's disciples. We looked at how Saubhara Muni obstructed Garuda, few other classes, so I will not repeat that. Then another way to look at is how to control our anger. Anger must be utilized in the service of the Lord, like Lord Hanuman. So lust, anger, greed, 3 pillars of sinful activity, as Lord Krishna is instructing Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. But it is a gradual practice. So it is arising from lust. That means first and foremost is we should avoid eating anything which is not offered to Krishna. That itself, especially the grains, which is especially when it is better if you have no other choice to take something which is fried. Grain must be fried, then it has a less effect. But if it is like rice or wheat, then it has severe effect. We don't realize it, but the consciousness gets affected immediately. So that's why we should be very careful not to tempt ourselves. We could rather fast for a day or 2 if needed, but rather avoid that, because lust arises from the consciousness which we are getting from others and the past practices from the previous life and also this life. So that's why it's not so easy to control the lust, and then automatically anger cannot be controlled. So that it requires a lot of practice, especially associating with devotees and following the especially serving the devotees and serving the Supreme Lord, worshipping the Lord and serving the spiritual master. It helps us to remove these lusty desires. Then the 4th one is the desire of the Lord himself. Here Lord desired himself, decided, so that's why this incident has happened. So 3 different kinds of grades of devotees. The topmost devotee, 3 kinds of sons. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam few places. 3 kinds of people. First kind of person or devotee is one who understands the desire of the Lord, desire of the spiritual master, without him instructing it. But that is the first class. And the second class is after instructing one who is following. This is Madhyama, second level. The third level is one after, despite instructing by the father or the authority or by the Supreme Lord or the Guru, still not following. That is the third level. So that is the another way to look at. And the other way to look at also in this chapter, previous few verses mentioned, how one must, as 4 Kumaras, after cursing, they were contemplating, they were thinking how to counteract what kind of act we have done as Vaishnavas, and this shouldn't have been done. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam also this mentions that at the Vaishnavana, Srimad Bhagavatam, a beautiful verse where it is mentioned about this. Srimad Bhagavatam Pranamamalam Yad Vaishnavanam Prim Yasmin Paramahams Mekam Amalam Jnana Paragiyati Tatta Jnana Viraga Bhakti Sahitam Naishkarmim Avishkrutam Tasrunuvan Supatan Vicharana Paro Bhaktya Vimuchye Nara. So Srimad Bhagavatam is spotless Puran. It is most dear to the Vaishnava because it describes the pure and supreme knowledge to the Paramahamsas. The Bhagavatam reveals the means for becoming free from all material work together with the process of transcendental knowledge, renunciation, devotion. Anyone who seriously tries to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, properly hears and chants it with devotion, becomes completely liberated. So one must thus Srunavam Supatan, which are very scrutinizingly reading, as Prabhupada mentioned, Vichara and discuss, deliberate, contemplate, meditate, all these aspects, not just simply read. Reading is also helps, but we have to go beyond the parrot reading. So we have to understand, we have to meditate and absorb ourselves. So now when we look at the mercy, as it is mentioned, how the mercy of the Lord, we'll quickly read the pastime of the mercy of the Lord from Chaitanya Bhagavat. How the mercy of the Lord is being given to two different devotees from Chaitanya Bhagavat, chapter 26. Before that, Srila Rupa Goswami mentions this mercy of the Lord in two different verses in Padyavali. I offer my obeisance millions of times to that astonishing Krishna, who is an ocean of inconceivable qualities. By power of his desire, Ichha Shakti alone, an ocean can become dry land, a dry land can turn into ocean. By his desire alone, a particle of dust can become a whole mountain, and a huge mountain can transform into one speck of dust. By his desire alone, a blade of grass can become a thunderbolt can be reduced to a powerless blade of grass. By his desire alone, a fire can become icy cold, and snow can assume the hot nature of fire. His Leela Shakti, his internal pastime potency is indeed most difficult to fathom, inconceivable. And further later on, he relates also, Vyadascha Charanam Dhruvascha Vayo Vidya Gajendrasya Ka Ubjasya Kum Va Nama Rupam Adikam Kim Sudamo Dhanam Vasasam Ko Vidurasya Yadav Pater Ugrasya Kim Paurusham Bhaktya Purnit Kevalam Nacha Gunair Bhakti Paro Priyo Madhava. O Madhava, the lover of bhakti, is only pleased by the pure, unalloyed devotion of surrendered souls, not by any good qualities devoid of bhakti, mercy of the Lord. Some say that he is pleased only with virtuous behavior. But what kind of piety was there in the hunter Dharma, who spent his whole life killing innocent animals? Others say that one must be mature to please the Lord, but Dhruva was only 5 years old. Some say that Bhagavan is most impressed with erudition. But what was the elephant king Gajendra's great scholarship? If Prabhu is attracted by the beauty, then how did Kubja charm him? If Bhagavan is happy with the wealth, then what about the impoverished Sudama? If high birth is the only means to please Bhagavan, then what would have happened to Vidura? If Prabhu is attained by strength, then how did the weak Ugrasena incarcerated in Kamsa's prison get his favor? Such is Sri Madhava's affection for his devotees. There are many verses briefly described from Sri Rupa Goswami's beautiful book of Padyavali describing this. So, and Prabhupada also mentions about these offenses in Nectar Devotion chapter 18. Attachment can be invoked by the association of pure devotees. Attachment can also be extinguished by offenses committed at the lotus feet of pure devotee. To be more clear, by the association of pure devotees, attachment for Krishna can be aroused. But if one commits offenses at the lotus feet of a devotee, one's shadow attachment or para attachment can be extinguished. This extinguishing is like the waning of the full moon, which gradually decreases and at last becomes dark. One should therefore be very careful while associating with pure devotees to guard against committing an offense at their lotus feet. Transcendental attachment, either shadow or para, can be nullified by different degrees of offenses at the lotus feet of pure devotee. If the offense is very serious, then one's attachment becomes almost nil. And if the offense is not very serious, one's attachment can become second class or third class. Now let's read from Chaitanya Bhagavat. Ekadina Suklambar Brahmachari Stane Krupaya Tatane Anna Magili Apane. One day Lord mercifully asked Suklambar Brahmachari for some rice. Have a strong desire to eat your rice. Do not fear. This is a sincere request. When Mahaprabhu made repeated request in this way, Suklambar emotionally pleaded with the Lord. I am most sinful, wretched beggar, and you are the personification of eternal religious principles, which I have fallen from. O Lord, you should give me shelter of your lotus feet, although I am not even equal to an insect. You are trying to deceive me. The Lord said, do not consider this as a deception, for I have a strong desire to taste your cooking. Go home and quickly prepare an offering for the Lord. I will surely come at midday. Still, Suklambara was in anxiety. So he asked all the devotees what he should do. They all said, why are we afraid? From the spiritual point of view, no one is separate from the Supreme Lord. He always begs food, especially from those who worship him with unflinching devotion. Although Vidra was the son of a Sudra, because of his devotion service, Lord personally begged food from him and ate. It is the nature of the Lord to beg food from his devotees and eat. Just go and offer him lunch with great devotion. We still feel fearful, then don't touch the food while you cook. You are most fortunate to receive such mercy. On hearing this, the Brahmana returned to his house. After taking bath, Suklambara carefully boiled some scented water. Brahmana then put some rice and the choice core of a banana stem in the water without touching them and folded his hands. Jaya Krishna Govinda Gopal Vanamali. Boli te lagi le Suklambara Kutuhali. Suklambara then began to joyfully sing Jaya Krishna Govinda Gopal Vanamali. At that moment, the greatly chaste Lakshmi, the mother of the universe, glanced at devotees' rice. That rice then immediately became exactly like a nectar. Meanwhile, the Lord arrived there after finishing his bath. He was accompanied by some of his intimate associates like Nityananda. Sri Satchidananda then changed out of his wet clothes. As the Lord took the rice he had desired, he looked at Suklambara and smiled happily. The house was situated right next to the Ganga. The Lord then happily offered the rice to Vishnu. Thereafter, Lord smiled as he joyfully sat down to eat. All his servants watched to full satisfaction of their eyes. Brahmadira yajna bhokta se gaur sundara suklambara anna kaya yei pada dushkara. It was most extraordinary that Sri Gaura Sundara, the enjoyer of sacrifice offered by personalities such as Brahma, was now eating the rice of Suklambara. The Lord said, since birth I have never tasted such palatable rice as this. I cannot describe the fine taste of this banana stem. How did you cook without touching it? You are certainly one of my friends for whom I incarnate. On seeing the extraordinary mercy showed to Suklambara, the devotees began to cry themselves. In this way, Lord repeatedly released the meal to his full satisfaction. Let the sinful non-devotee millionaire see the mercy that the beggar Suklambara received. One cannot attain Lord Chaitanya by wealth, followers, or learning. All the scriptures declare the Lord is controlled by devotional service. After finishing his meal, the Lord in great satisfaction sat down and smiled as he chewed betel nuts. Devotees forgot themselves in ecstasy as they honored the remnants that Brahma, Shiva, and Ananta worship. Who can describe the ecstasy that filled that beggar's house, such as the pastimes of Lord Viswamba? Now we'll look at another pastime. Quick interruption. There was a student of the Lord named Sri Vijay Das. That great soul had a divine vision. Navadvipe Tandra Mate Nahi Ankariya. Prabhure Aneka Punti Diyaje Likia. There was no writer in Navadvip as expert as him. He copied many books for the Lord. People called him Ankariya Vijaya. But because they were devoid of devotion, they did not know his glories. While lying down, Lord placed his hand on the body of Vijaya, who then saw something most wonderful. He saw that the Hema Stamba Praya Hasta Digra Subalana Paripurna Deke Tahi Ratna Avarana. He saw the Lord's hand with long and mighty like golden pillar, like we put Lord Jagannath's golden hands, blessing hand, and decorated with jeweled ornaments. All of his fingers were decorated with engraved jeweled rings. It appears as if millions of suns and moons were brightly shining. That effulgence spread up to the planet of Lord Brahma. On seeing the Lord's hand, Vijaya became filled with transcendental ecstasy. When Vijaya was about to shout, Lord immediately placed his lotus hand over his mouth. Lord said, as long as I remain in this world, do not tell anyone about this incident. After this, saying this, Lord looked at Vijaya and smiled. Then Vijaya jumped up and roared loudly. The loud roaring of Vijaya woke all the devotees. They tried to restrain Vijaya, but they were unable. In this way, we can see how the Lord is so merciful to the devotees, the Brahmanas. So these are some of the examples. Wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, starting from Narada Muni. So many examples. How Lord is showing his mercy even to the poor. So it is all about how much sincere and devotion by the mercy of his pure devotees, especially almost 90%, 99% of the time it is based on the mercy of by pure devotee. We are getting the mercy of the Lord directly. It is very, very difficult, only in rare cases. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Chandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri ki jai. Gaur Bhaktam ki jai.
Thank you very much, Krishnananda. I'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day and weekend ahead. Weekend, Govindas will be on tomorrow with buffet, all you can eat lunch buffet. We'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting 3 times Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Ram,
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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
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 Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Shino Shingo, Jai
Narasimha, Jai
Shingo, Jai
Narasimha, Jai
Narasimha,
Jai Narasimha,
Jai
Praladesha, Jai Padma
Narasimha,
Mukha
Jai
Padma Padma Padma
Ugraveera
Gravira
Ugrabira
Mahapurusham
Mahapuruष
Mahapuruషam
Anantam
Sarvatomukham
Sarvatomukham
Narsingham
Narsingha
Bhadram
Bhishana Padram Bhujam Namami.
Nrsimha Bhagwan ki jai,
Jai,
Prahlad Maharaj ki jai.
Jai,
Jai.
Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the Samar Vaishnavas. Vancha
Vancha
kalpatarubhyasya kripa
Vanchakalpatarubhyasya
sindhu
kripa
vacha
sindhubhyacha
patitanam
patitanam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
namo
namo
namaha.
namaha.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila
Jai,
Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur
Jai,
Bhakta Hari Hari Bol.
Hare.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Krishna
Thank you.
Namananda Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
everybody. Hari Krishna. Hari Bol.